All right, today, oh man, I'm really excited for this because these fine folks I've known for some time. We've had quite a few dinners over the years, Brian and Jesslyn. Over the years, we've been able to break bread, have a couple glasses of wine, not too much, but that's what Acre's all about. And this is Acre number. What number is this for you guys?
This will be number 6 for us, yeah.
Number 6, absolutely fantastic. So I want to kind of jump right in because a lot of people are excited that Acre's coming. Acre registrations this year are going fast and furious. We're actually right on schedule in terms of our goal, in terms of what we wanted for registration rate as of this morning. Now we're getting into the heaviest part of the promotion, so to speak, in terms of letting people know why they should come to Acre. But instead of me, as a Chief Growth Officer of REIN, getting out there and singing the praises of Acre, I thought it'd be better if we got the voice of the investors, the voice of the couples, the voice of the power couples like you that keep showing up day in and day out, keep coming to Acre. So what do you guys like best about Acre? What do you like about Acre? And why do you think people should come?
For us, it's being connected to like-minded individuals. Like everyone at Acre has the same focus, right? Investing in real estate. And so it's a motivation to go to Acre and to meet those people, to experience what their fears are and their needs are, and try and help them out. And maybe you can get some help out of that too.
Now, Jesslyn, why do you think it's funny? Because I've done a lot of these interviews now in the last couple of weeks. I've spoken to a ton of the speakers. I've spoken to a ton of veteran real estate investors. I've spoken to just brand new investors. I've spoken to a lot of people that have been in the REIN community for some time. And what Brian just said about the mindset, about the common community, about being surrounded by people, why is that important to you, Jesslyn, and you as a real estate investor?
Well, like-minded individuals help you figure out things you might not know. And coming together as a community, you can share ideas. You can, if there's something, for example, that we don't necessarily work on for our real estate portfolio, we know others who we can connect them with. So anyone we work with, we're not letting down, that we'll have an answer or someone to help them along the way regardless.
And I think that's really, you guys said it twice now, which is interesting because we're only about 3 minutes into this thing. And you've already said twice now, helping someone out, which I find fascinating because someone from the outside looking in would think that Acre is all about getting, it's all about receiving. But you're not speaking from stage. You're there as a participant. You're there as an attendee. So what do you mean by helping people out? I find this fascinating that you guys are an attendee, but you're going there to give. That's very interesting.
Yeah, so what I found is, like, Brian and I will usually go to separate tables when we're at these events, and we meet a lot of individuals who have probably similar issues we may have had in the past. And we just kind of go and encourage them and tell our story as a couple, because we know one of the main issues that we see time and time again is that there'll be one party in favor of real estate and maybe they just can't get their significant other on board. So then we're there to kind of help explain our story, because we weren't always on the same page either, and it took some time to build that up, and now we are, and we've just exponentially grown because of it.
Yeah.
And what do you, and Brian, from your perspective, I find it interesting, we were talking just before we turned the cameras on, that you're right now in the cycle, both of you, in terms of real estate portfolio. Where are you guys at in your cycle? You guys are from Edmonton, you guys invest in Edmonton. I find it fascinating where you're at in your cycle of investment, so to speak. Can you tell us a little bit about that? Because I think it's fascinating for people to hear, because Edmonton, and just not just Edmonton, but Alberta has gone through so many ups and downs, and there's been so much emotion around this real estate market in Alberta in the last 1, 2, 3 years. Where are you guys at right now?
We're kind of in a revitalization phase. So we've invested for quite a long time, like 15 years-ish. We've owned property in various different stages, but and we did okay with it. But when we joined REIN, we just realized that, like, we weren't doing all that great, and we started to reorganize our portfolio. And so now we're actually selling some of the older properties that we bought, and we're buying newer, higher performing properties. Takes time, and a lot of knowledge, but Acre gives you that.
Well, that's very interesting. So it sounds like you're in a spot right now where you're kind of cycling some properties. You're kind of out with the old, in with the new. I find it interesting when so many people in Alberta right now are fearful. It kind of sounds like you're taking an extra step in. You're kind of diving a little deeper. How have you guys? How has REIN or Acre helped you with that? Because like I said, you're no different than everybody else. We've been going through these emotions in Alberta for 1, 2, 3 years. So how have you guys made the decision to take this leap now? Why now?
It's kind of the golden rule, right? Buy low and sell high. So we are selling some properties, but they performed. They've kind of lived out their expectancy, and they're just not performing for us. And so now that the market's low here in Alberta, we're actually trying to get as much as we possibly can. So when the market goes back up, that we're sitting really well. So and just in terms of REIN and Acre, well, knowing what to look for, those two events provide a lot of that input. Is just like being able to look at the economy, look at the properties, look at the areas, and know what to buy, right, and when to buy.
Very interesting. I find it fascinating because, and Jesslyn, you've seen this because you've been around a long time. So I'm fascinating that there's so many people in Alberta who say that, like you've heard this yourselves because you guys been in the room for so many years. You've heard people say that next time the market goes down, I'm gonna buy. I'm gonna capitalize on it. When the market's really hot, people are thinking, if only it would cool down a little bit, I would get in. Well, here we are in a cooler market that's kind of ripe for getting in, and people are having a hard time. Why is that, Jesslyn, from your perspective? And has Acre helped you guys kind of make those decisions?
I think they're still scared because now that it is the right time to buy, if you look at it that way, they're now worried about how they're going to afford it based on their income, and are they going to be able to rent it. So Acre for us was a great eye opener. It helped us learn that there's really no right time to buy as long as you are staying on a steady path of what your goals are. And so for example, we have changed our location slightly of where we invest because we're in Sherwood Park, which was because of REIN and the Gold Mine Scorecard and Acre events. We've now changed our renter profile. It's now A+. We've reduced our vacancy. Just all these things, these little pieces of nuggets that we get, and then we just go incorporate it. And we just realize that to us, there's no right or wrong time to buy.
Gotcha.
If the deal works, it's the right time to buy.
Yeah.
That's what it comes down to. Yeah.
Now both of you are in an interesting spot because there's a lot of people watching this, and I love this about you guys because you're young, you're hustlers, you got a family, you're working day in and day out, you got jobs. It's like this stuff isn't easy. You're probably getting up early, you're probably staying up late, you're doing all of those things to build your real estate investment business. Can you tell us a bit about that? Because there are people watching this right now that are thinking, well, JG can do that because he's JG and he wrote a book and he speaks here and he has a Porsche and all these various stories to tell themselves. And none of that is true, by the way, because I'm just a normal dude, just like everybody else. But you guys are just the most normal sort of in the box, jobs, families, kids, busy, hockey, soccer, whatever else you guys got going on. How do you do it?
Inspiration, mostly. A couple of years ago, maybe even probably 3 years ago, I think now, we sort of had a whole bunch of inspirations and a bunch of really large motivators enter into our life, and that lets us stay up late and get it done and get up early and all those things that you just mentioned. So Richard Dolan at Acre there, he walks you through your beliefs, and that was huge. Like we created our beliefs, and we've refined it a few times, and it changes a little bit, but just having that beliefs portion of your real estate portfolio, that inspiration, was probably bigger than any amount of money we could we could find or any amount of money we could raise to try and buy property, that was the real thing that got things going, is having that inspiration.
Wow. It's interesting because I was talking to some other real estate investors. I was talking to Keith Uti, who you guys know very well. And it's funny because he started by talking about the Belize as well. And in many of the talks that we give at REIN, and you guys have heard this before, and it's important for people that are watching, is, you know, when you start out, when REIN starts to teach you about how to invest, we start with the Belize. And a lot of that, for some people, frustrates them because all they want to know is, give me the numbers, tell me where to invest, you know, let's get into the cash flow, let's get into the appreciation, let's get into the spreadsheets. And it's amazing how veteran and sophisticated real estate investors like you guys and Keith and the other 150,000 real estate investors we've trained over the years really picked up on this concept of Belize because it's so important. Now, how has that kept you going through the dark times, Jesslyn? Because listen, it's not all roses. I think we can all agree to that. It's not all roses. There's ups, there's downs, there's sideways, there's tears, there's moments of wanting to quit. Or is it just me? Am I the only one going through these moments?
No, it's very true. There are all of those. But it's more, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't want to say it's hope, but we see our future, right? And we understand we're putting in a lot of hours and it's hard work now, but we know where it's going to get us, which is freedom, which is what we're ideally looking for. Mm-hmm. The choice to work, or the choice to be working somewhere else, out of Canada maybe, because with a 9-to-5 job, that doesn't happen, right? There's just no time for that. Yeah, I don't know.
No, definitely. Like knowing your future, and as soon as you know your future, you don't want to give it up. So you're willing to put in the effort.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you know, you guys have been at this now for, I think, 15 years, you said, and it really sounds like you guys have become it took you 15 years to become overnight successes.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, it didn't happen in the first 15 years.
Well, I think that's great. So listen, Brian, Jesslyn, you're sitting there now. You've got this portfolio. You're coming back to Acre Real Estate Summit this year. I've mentioned this on several of these interviews, but we're bringing back breakouts this year. On the Sunday, we're going to have some breakout sessions, which is going to be amazing. So, but what do you say to the young Brian and Jesslyn, like the Brian and Jesslyn from 15 years ago, who are watching this and thinking, yeah, but this is Brian and Jesslyn. Like, look how beautiful she is. And that dude is so handsome and he's super cool. And like, of course they've got this rock solid relationship, and that's why they've been at this for 15 years. And, you know, it's harder for me. And what do you say to the people that are creating stories around whether or not they should do this, whether or not they should come, whether or not they should invest the time, the effort, the energy, the money? What do you say to those young Brian and Jesslyn, whether they're young or old? It doesn't matter what age they are. What do you say to those people that are where you were 15 years ago?
I mean, for me, walking into a REIN meeting, I remember my first couple of REIN meetings, and I remember, I mean, the first one just right off the bat was walking into a room, and I couldn't believe how supportive everybody in the room was. Like everybody was willing to help me and here I walked into the room thinking sort of I'm a nobody investor, and that these guys are all going to have millions and millions, and they're not going to want to talk to me. And I walked into the room and found it was the total opposite. Like everybody wanted to talk to me, everybody wanted to help me, and everybody wanted to make sure that I was successful. So for me, that's one of the main reasons I go to REIN and go to Acre, is because I know everyone in that room is going to be having that same mindset, and I want to make sure that everybody in the room, that I can give back to everybody in the room and make sure that they can experience what I experienced in sort of my first REIN event.
Yeah, I would echo some of that. I would kind of go in and say, whatever obstacle you have, you can overcome it from this room, whether it be Acre or REIN, because you hear everything through, I can't qualify to I don't have a down payment, but there is a solution out there. And we took a long time to learn that there were other options. And when I talk to others, it's kind of we understand the first step is the hardest. But there are people who are willing to help. And I always offer, like, just call or email. We've been through it. We've had people help us, and we're giving back to help them. And then a lot of times I share stories because people ask more often than not how we got in, how we keep it up, how many bad tenants have we had, and then kind of how do we do it. This is a big one. How do you do it as a team? Because again, more often than not, they're like, my significant other isn't involved. And so I explain our story because again, one of us was not really so strong for it, and then
I was gonna ask, but I kind of figured the answer. So.
To be honest, I was so in love with real estate, I signed him up for REIN.
Yeah, I didn't even sign myself up.
That's awesome.
Taking that step.
Well, and I think what's fascinating about what you guys are saying is that the very same culture and ethos that REIN was then is REIN now. And it's amazing how you said it perfectly. There's strength in numbers. Of course, a beginner real estate investor will not have all the answers. You're going to have nothing but obstacles in front of you. That's why the community exists. That's why the good news is that together we've all seen all the problems. We've all dealt with all the issues we could possibly deal with. And just by raising your hand and asking a question, someone can help you overcome all those issues. And is REIN who REIN is, and is Acre what Acre is because we make problems not show up? Definitely not. The problems are still there. It's just we help you overcome them. We give you a system, we give you strategies, we give you solutions, and we give you a support network to overcome it as a team. So Brian, Jesslyn, thank you so much, A, for being part of the community, B, for keeping on, and keeping on coming back, because you guys are a source of inspiration for people that are watching this. You're a source of inspiration for people that call you and email you and want to do what you've done. So thank you for keeping on, because that's what makes you guys different. That's what makes REIN REIN. So thank you.
Great, thank you.
Looking forward to seeing both of you guys at Acre in Edmonton, September 27th through 29th. Look forward to seeing you guys there. Cheers.
See you then.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.